Hey Frontline fans, welcome back to Comic Frontline and fans. You're back with another episode of Pay It or Slay It. That's right guys, this is the video series where I take a random of 10 comics that I read for the week and I discuss with you guys which ones were my favorite, which ones were my least favorite, and every once in a while, you never know when I could get a comic that I feel, in my opinion, is so bad that it could be possibly slayed. So, with that being said, guys, let's get started with this week's episode of Pay It or Slay It. That's right, guys. All right, so the first book we're going to talk about is... Oh, God. Oh, my God. I can't believe this is the first book. Avengers, issue number 1 from Marvel Now. Okay, I did an in-depth review on this if you guys want to see the in-depth review. Again, I picked these books at random, so I don't know what order they're going to be in, and this just happens to be the very first book that I'm truly picking and talking about. This book is written by Mark Waid, and the art is done by Mike Del Mondo. I said it in my in-depth review that this book is a beautiful book in its own way when it comes to the artwork. Someone made a comment on my comments when I did the video saying that this book reminded them of Superman Batman with the artwork in that series. It's great artwork. It just doesn't belong in a comic book. It doesn't do a very good job at telling the story with the dialogue that's in the story as well. You seem to get lost in the art. Certain colors blend in together, and I just didn't like the chemistry of this team. It just seemed like Peter was begging to be on the Avengers, where you would think the Avengers would be more than welcome on having him on the team, especially when they have such few members. We're dealing with Kane again, where this was the first introduction to the all-new, all-different Avengers, and it's just not a story that I was into. It was very dull in my opinion. I did not like it. I don't like the artwork for it. And with that being said, I am truly done with the Avengers. At least Mark Waid Avengers anyway. This is not the Avengers that I've once read in the past. This is something that's completely different. And it's a shame because this is a flagship book. This should be like the Justice League. And unfortunately, the Justice League is not any better at DC. These should be the books that, these people come together and they defeat a threat that none of them could defeat on their own. And it's just not about that anymore. And it's just all over the place, and I despise it, and I am no longer reading Mark Waid Avengers. So with that being said, I am absolutely going to definitely...
Look who has taken over this broadcast. It is Superior Mike Spider Slayer Ultra. I run this show now. This Pay It or Slay It. And if that wimp Mike Spider Slayer can't slay books, then me, Superior Mike Spider Slayer Ultra, will do it. So, the Earth's mightiest heroes, Avengers, is a book that is worth not only being slayed, but it is being cut up in little pieces, little bitty pieces. I just cut off Falcon's head. That Captain America wannabe. Oh, look, Spider-Man. Oh, yes, yes, yes. You're an Avenger where they don't want you. Goodbye, Avengers. Goodbye. Good riddance.
Yeah. What just happened? What just happened? Oh, man. I think he's back. and I'm going to have to find a way to stop him. He keeps coming back every so often, and he's back because I didn't slay that book. He did. All right. Well, hopefully he doesn't come back, and I can just get through the show without him. So let's move on, guys, okay? All right. Next is on the list Batman, issue number 10. That's right, guys. This book is really awesome. Let me just tell you, it's if you're a fan of Selina Kyle, she kind of makes her return here. She kind of talks. She writes a letter to Batman, and she sits here and she goes. She says, "Oh, I knew you would be coming for me," and she gives you the whole entire story of why she killed the 237 individuals, which was a great tale to tell. Artwork is absolutely beautiful in this book. I love David Finch's artwork. This book just looks like a little more polished. We can see the assault on Santa Prisca in this issue. Bane has a ton of soldiers. Batman gets overwhelmed, but it was all a setup so he can let his other heroes with him to kind of let them in the back door, for say. So this was a really good book, and I definitely, guys, if you're not reading Batman right now, and I don't know really who is it, but I definitely sit there and say go out there and pay for the book. This is a really good book, guys. Awesome job. And it looks like based off of this week, we could probably see maybe Catwoman coming back very soon, maybe in her own ongoing series, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, so next book we're going to talk about is Aquaman, issue number 10. That's right, guys. This book focuses around Mira. She's going through the trials of being that person that is worthy of marrying Arthur Curry. And what happens in this issue is we wind up seeing her. We wind up seeing this image of the actual world dying, Aquaman dying, and she takes over as the queen of Atlantis, but she is the one that destroys everything. And these witches or these sorcerers or whatever these people are, they tell her that she's not fit to be queen, and she sits there and she abandons them. And the next thing she winds up going is she winds up going back home. She gets this letter, and we wind up seeing her being attacked by Nemo in this issue as well. And she tries to save the day, and when she finds out, when she does save the day, she winds up getting the news that Aquaman is actually severely injured, and it has concern in her eyes because she's like, oh my God, is their visions coming true that Aquaman's going to be dead? And this was a really nice book because just the emotion that she goes through in this issue is very well done, because it has her second guessing herself. Is she believing what these witches actually tell her, and things like that? So this was a great book, and I love how they really focus on Mira in this issue, on what she can do, how strong of a character she is, and a really good book. So definitely, guys, if you haven't been reading Aquaman, definitely go out there and purchase it. This is a great book. You should pay for the book, guys. Pay it. Do not slay it. All right. So next book we're going to be talking about is Spidey, issue number 12. This is the final issue of the book, and that is true because at the end of this book, it definitely sits there and it tells everybody the end. And I'm sad to see this book actually go. And what happens in this issue is we get to see Peter having probably one of the best days of his life. He winds up talking with Aunt May. His Aunt May finally gets a job. She can pay rent. We wind up seeing him getting money for pictures that he actually's taken. Him and Gwen Stacy actually go out and go to homecoming together. And just everything that you love about Peter Parker and Spider-Man in general is in this book. It's just a well-done book. And then he comes across the rogues gallery that you love the most probably in Spider-Man. And he comes across not only Mysterio, but he comes across Electro, you know, the old Electro. Then he comes across the Vulture. And then slowly but surely, as you're reading this book, you know it's the Sinister Six that's coming after him, because then he has the Sandman. And he's doing battle against them. And then he comes across Craven the Hunter. And then finally, last but not least, he goes against Dr. Octopus himself. And then he's reminded, when he's at the very brink of disaster, about to lose, he thinks of not only his life flashes before his eyes, but he thinks of the perfect day that he had. And he thinks of Gwen Stacy. And it's just such a touching moment for Spider-Man fans. And he takes it to the next level. He crushes, the Sinister Six. And it's just an awesome ending to this book. Kind of wraps it up in a bow, just like the series does. he dumps the old costume, very reminiscent of old cover. And then he makes a new costume. And that's how it goes. And that's how the issue ends. This was a wonderful, wonderful series. And I couldn't ask for something any better. And this was actually probably my favorite pick of the week overall, just because it touches the heart to a lot of true Spider-Man fans. And if you're not a fan of Superior Spider-Man, if you're not a fan of Peter Parker Industries Spider-Man, this was the book for you. And I am sad to see it go, but I'm happy that it ended on a bright note. Maybe we'll get more titles like Spidey in the future. This was one of the great stuff that came out of all new, all different Marvel.
Fool! This book is corny. This is not Spider-Man. This needs to be in the garbage. It needs to be cut up. It's going to be slain if I have a say in it.
Holy cow! What am I about to do? What the hell is going on? Why is this show being taken over by like this ultra version of myself? I don't like Superior Mike Spider Slayer Ultra. I've battled him before. I've sent him off to like the Phantom Zone. He's come back, and now he's starting to take over my pay or slay it videos. And I have a feeling if it's his way, he will slay everything. So I have to stay in control. I have to stay in control of this episode. Okay, let's move on. Let's hope he doesn't come back. Please don't come back. All right, next, we're going to talk about The Unworthy Thor, issue number 1. Guys, if you haven't bought this book yet, I definitely sit there and say, go out and pay for the book. Now, excuse me if my voice sounds a little rough, or if I'm coughing a little bit, but I got a pretty bad cold, so I'm trying to fight through this. But Unworthy Thor, issue number 1. Really great book this time around. And if you've been off of Thor, if you maybe turned off from Jane Foster Thor, this is a great book. This tells you where Odinson has been this entire time, what he's kind of going through, and this is truly a new friendly reader type of book. And Jason Aaron did a great job on this. And I remember when Jason Aaron wrote the Secret Wars tie-in book, he did a nice job on that series as well. And we get to see, again, everything that Thor has gone through this time around. And he actually winds up meeting the Unseen, which is known as the new Watcher in this series, because going back to Original Sin, we see Nick Fury kind of take over that mantle, and you get to see him in here. And then he talks about how worlds have been destroyed and how worlds have been united, or worlds have been re-put together. He gives him information on where he can find a hammer, and it was just a really well-told story, and definitely got me hooked for issue number 2. I definitely sit there and say, go out and pay for this book, guys, like I've already said. Great story, and you really feel for the character, and you want him to get his hammer back. One of the best parts of this book, too, was Beta Ray Bill makes his appearance in here, and he offers his hammer to Odinson. So really great stuff, and I can't wait, again, for issue number 2. This is the way that a Marvel Now title should be written. This is new reader friendly. This gets you excited. This makes you intrigued. Unlike the Avengers book, where it just starts you off in a story. It makes you feel like these characters have been around, and it doesn't bring any chemistry of the team. This is awesome, and I can't wait again for issue 2. All right, next we're talking about Champions, issue number 2. Issue number 1 was great. You got to see a really true gathering of the team, and this issue kind of explores that team even more. Mark Waid does something in this book that he doesn't do in his Avengers book. Builds chemistry around the team. We did not see chemistry in the entire all-new, all-different Avengers run, and we don't see it in the first issue here. We do see it, though, in the first issue of Champions, and we see it in the second issue of Champions. And I really appreciate what he's doing here. And I feel he's more comfortable writing these younger characters than the characters that have been around forever and ever. Because I feel like maybe he has a little bit more free reign with this. And so in this issue, you wind up seeing the characters gathering around a campfire. And Miss Marvel sits there and talks to the team and says, you know, we need to know each other's powers so we can explore them, and we can do superpower team-ups and stuff like that. And, you know, I love how she's so upbeat, how she's willing, you know, to go out there and be the best that she can be. Because, again, she's pretty new at being a superhero. And same with all these other characters. You know, they want to go out there and do good, and that's why these characters make good chemistry with each other. And you get to see some good moments in here between the Hulk and Nova and everybody in here, and we get to see some intimate things that are going on in this issue as well. I think Humberto Ramos' art really fits the book in here also, and at the end you get Scott Summers, who makes his appearance on here, and looks like he's going to be joining the team. And then we get something that wasn't expected in here, where Amadeus Cho Hulk and Viv share a kiss with each other. Now, it was referenced in the book earlier that she never shared a kiss, and these two were kind of like online buddies, so they did have a relationship. But I wasn't sure how to feel about a relationship in this book so soon. Now, will it take it to that next level? Too early to tell. Could be just a cliffhanger or whatever it is. Does Sam Alexander get jealous? I don't know, but it could create this love triangle type of thing. But nevertheless, it makes a great book, and the chemistry for the team is there. So, guys, I definitely say go out there and pay for the book. It's definitely worth your money. So, yeah, Champions 2, great job. Totally opposite from that Avengers book that is now all over my floor. Okay. Anyway, next book that we're going to talk about is Green Lantern, issue number 10. This continues the whole Phantom Ring story, and in this issue, we wound up getting to see, excuse me, the character that does get the Phantom Ring. There's this big distraction. There's this big fire that happens. It draws the other lanterns out of the house, and then we wind up seeing our new character, our new Phantom Ring bearer, be born. He winds up trying on the actual ring, and the next thing he says is the oath, which is pretty cool. And now all of a sudden he has the powers of all the rings combined, and you get to see that a little bit as he's exploring the powers. First thing is green, because he has a lot of will, being that he almost became a Green Lantern. Then as soon as fear kicked in, he became a Yellow Lantern, and we wound up getting to see him almost betraying Falthum at first, but then he says, I promised you the ring, now you have to go with me on my terms. So they wound up leaving together, which I thought was pretty interesting, and he takes the Guardian with him. So seeing this new Phantom Lantern is really awesome, and I love seeing him have all these different powers. Really cool book. I can't wait to see also how these guys deal with the situation as well. Good book. It's been entertaining. I've actually liked this better than Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern Corps. Yeah, so definitely, guys, go out and pay for this book. All right, next book we're going to talk about today is Catwoman Election Night. That's right, very fitting for today, being that today is the day to vote for your future president. And Meredith Finch wrote this book. And really what this book tells is how she feels towards the candidates. Because what Catwoman does is she exploits the candidates in this book, and they wind up getting arrested, both of them. So none of them can run for mayor in this issue. And obviously one of them is the Penguin, who represents Donald Trump. He talks about building a wall and how he handles women and all that other stuff. And the other person represents Hillary Clinton, who has dirt on this orphanage who committed a murder a long time ago. So she winds up going to jail for that. Artwork is absolutely gorgeous in this book. The colors are really nice. There was a lot of action. The paneling was great in this book also. And this was a book you definitely want to read, especially if you can relate to the election and what's going on into today's world. Just great story overall. And what this really shows is that I felt that Meredith can write a nice Catwoman title, and I would love to see her actually produce an ongoing here. We don't have an ongoing Catwoman book at the moment. So again, is this a hint that she's going to be coming back? Remember, I talked about it earlier. We saw her in the Batman title earlier. Now we see her in this one shot. Maybe we'll get to see her in a future ongoing series. But I say, if you haven't read it yet, guys, definitely go out there and pay for this book. It's a great book. Awesome issue. All right. Next book we're going to talk about is Superman, issue number 10. As this deals with the whole Super Sons, kind of like a preview of what's to come for that book. And this book was awesome because we get to see the interactions between John and Damian. And Damian just not like John. He feels like he's an alien. He's going to cause danger. Kind of like how Bruce has always felt towards Clark. And we get to see the great interactions between these characters. And after their dads kind of, settle things down a little bit, we get to see, okay, well, maybe they'll actually get along. But that's not the case because Damien's just a little brat, and he's like this spoiled little rich kid. He's like, check out my bat cow. He's like, I got this. Oh, look at this. I got this too. And so what happens is it starts this whole fight, and John gets pissed off. He punches him in the gut, and it's just a really great book. Overall, it's just a lot of fun to read, and it's just to be continued because these guys are going to be going through some kind of like boot camp at the next issue and getting some discipline and learning to respect one another. So, great book, guys. Go out, buy this book, pay for it. Just a lot of fun to read. Definitely awesome. All right. Last but not least, guys, we got one more book to talk about today. And this was a pretty emotional book if you have read Spider-Woman. And this is Spider-Woman Marvel Now. And this is issue number 13 of the title. Excuse me. And what's going on in this issue is it kind of plays off a little bit off of what happened with Porcupine in the last issue. He got to save the day. He realizes he's a hero. He's doing good. And it was just a really good centered book around him. And in this issue, we wound up seeing Jessica going battle against this Blizzard character. She fights against him. She's going in. She's taking a shower. She's taking the night off. Roger comes by, and we wind up seeing him here kind of going into the, boss's lair. We don't even know what's going on. Like, he has to do with his old crew, and we don't know the type of appointment that he has. We also find out in the issue that he has feelings for Jessica. And I kind of seen that coming based off of how he interacts with her, how he does so much for her, that he truly loves her as a person. We kind of go back to the past. We kind of revisit this like con where it all began, where she kind of met Roger and where she kind of dug him out from being, this bad guy. And as the issue progresses, we wound up seeing Roger kind of did this deal with Hobgoblin that kind of went wrong. And Ben Ulrich was with him, and he goes, no matter what happens, I want you to be safe. And we wound up seeing that the deal went south, and Roger gets the piss beat out of him by the Beetle and by Hobgoblin himself. He gets all tied up, and he just no one fulfills their bargain here, and Hobgoblin decides to literally blow the porcupine up. And I could not believe that just happened. And the dude's dead, man. I mean, there's no way he can survive that. The bomb was in his lap. He explodes. You get to see the ledge destroyed, and it was all in front of Ben Ulrich's eyes. When Jessica gets this news, she is going to go apeshit. She's going to go hog wild all over Hobgoblin. You know, Ben Ulrich sits there and comes through the door as she's watching her baby. He's all shooken up, and he has to give that news to Jessica. Oh my God, man. What an emotional issue. This was a really good book as well. It was a hard decision to make this week on the comics that I liked the best because there were so many great comics. There was only a couple that really were not that great, and Avengers, unfortunately, was one of them. I did read Occupy Avengers. I read half of it, and for me, it was really boring. I just couldn't get through it, but it wasn't fair to put it on this episode of Pay It or Slay It because I didn't read it through it. I'm just not going to read the book anymore. It's just not a book for me. So, there you guys have it. There is the episode for the week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Now it's your turn to sit there and put in the comments below. And what were your favorite books of the week? Which books would you pay for? Which books would you slay? And fans, as always, this has been episode 7 of Pay It or Slay It. And until the next episode, this is Mike Spider Slayer.
And Superior Mike Spider Slayer Ultra. Say goodbye, and I will make my return into Super Comic Frontline once and for all.